Hi, I'm Doom. Hi.
One Final Sunset by Hot. Most ponies thought of the world of Equestria as endless, an infinite world, but those ponies are all gone now, and my job of raising and lowering the sun had become all for naught. Most ponies think, or thought, that the end of Equestria would come in a huge fireball, and would bring about destruction of immeasurable power. This is not so. Equestria did not fold into a massive abyss, or become alight with the flames of destruction, or rot in the pestilence of disease, or any of these atrocities. It was very peaceful, in fact. You may be asking exactly where every pony went. To put it plainly, they all simply faded away into time, and I stood vigil over an empty harbor, somehow hoping a ship of hope would moor soon. This, I soon realized, was silly, but it was what kept me going. I, just as every pony else, have reached the threshold of old age. Even my younger sister Luna has perished before me, and soon I grew tired. I raised the sun, I lowered the sun. It was my usual day. I could always fend off the boredom, but the loneliness was what plagued me. Day after day, I performed the same routine, hoping that some sort of life will spring forth and give me purpose, but these hopes faded after centuries of solitude. As to why they were gone, quite simply they stopped reproducing. For whatever reason, my subjects simply felt no desire to continue their bloodlines. They were completely content with growing old with their spouses and friends, not having to worry about a house full of foals to care for. I pleaded with them to reconsider, but time and time again, they simply smiled and said they were perfectly happy, and that there was no sense in making a new generation. It was then that I realized that Equestria had performed its duty. All three races, Pegasus, Unicorn, and Earth, lived in perfect harmony. It was said that Equestria was created to mature its inhabitants, to prepare them for what lies beyond their mortal domains. In the closing years of the equestrian race, I realized just how far they had advanced. Even in the days when the elements of harmony were used, nearly a millennium ago, I had never seen such a perfect society. Not a single pony performed a selfish deed, or left a friend forlorn. As the last inhabitant of Equestria, Luna exhaled her last breath. A wide, content smile spread across her face as she looked me in the eyes, as if to tell me everything was going to be okay. Whatever grief I felt was now gone. Wherever they were going was where they wanted to be, and they were ready. Equestria had become the perfect world, and thus was ready to fade away. Centuries after the last friend I'd known faded away, I still raised the sun and moon and kept vigil over a vast empty land. For the first time in my long life as ruler of Equestria, I felt at rest. No evil threatened my subjects, no violence or crime was committed, no issues called to my attention. I often looked up at the sky, looking for an answer, some recognition of my existence. On particularly starry nights, I'd stare up and think of Luna, counting each one, admiring her handiwork. A smile would creep across my face as fond memories of her and others invaded my mind. Luna was one of the only ponies I still knew the name of. After a couple 100 years, keeping names isn't exactly top priority. Still, at least knowing the identities of those that have moved on would at least hinder the loneliness. Sometimes I would forget that anyone else even ever existed. After a certain amount of time, things begin to seem normal that way. I couldn't even seem to remember their voices or appearances. One night, I decided to visit my old room, a place I had not been in many, many years. I entered, pushing the large wooden door aside. It creaked as dust fell from the hinges, a testament to its lack of use. A small magical fire still burned, lighting the room dimly with flickering shadows and a faint orange glow. Cobwebs hung low and spanned all around the room. My bed that I once rested in sat and gathered layers of dust, revealing how long it had been since I last set foot in here. As I traversed the room, I noticed a faint glimmer. I looked at the source just under the bed. It appeared to be a small paper roll with a shiny red ribbon, securing it into a cylinder. There was a certain familiarity to it. With a puzzled look, I levitated it just in front of my face and studied it. Dear Princess Celestia, today I learned that your friends are the most important people in your life, and with them, every day is simply that much better. During my time in Ponyville, I've not only gained friends, but learned the valuable role they play every day. It's hard to imagine just a day without them. Your faithful student, Twilight Sparkle. I gasped slightly and felt myself tear up. This was the closest to any communication I'd had to a ponies in centuries. In a rush, it all came back. Twilight Sparkle, Applejack, Fluttershy, Rainbow Dash, Pinkie Pie, and Rarity. I hurriedly peered under my bed once again and discovered a plethora of others. I tugged each one out and read it. Sure enough, they were all addressed from my faithful student, Twilight Sparkle. Every memory flooded in. I remembered nearly every encounter with the 6 incredible ponies, and even Spike. I remembered that battle with Discord. I remembered the time Twilight nearly went crazy trying to send me a letter. I remembered the marriage of Cadance and Shining Armor. All these years, my memory has faded. There's been nothing to remind me of the past, nothing to affirm my memories. A small smile formed amidst the tears, and I clutched the letters close, as if to guard them for my life. They were my last connection to the world, and one of the only things to remind me of the wonderful life I and many others had lived. I stood, hearing my joints pop. I was getting older. I could feel it. Walking long distances now took energy from me, and my magic had become less powerful. Bringing the sun to attention had never troubled me before, but now it seemed a chore. I walked about the gardens, admiring the handiwork of those who had created it. Shrubs sat perfectly trimmed, vexed by an everlasting magic, to retain perfect shape. I moped from the hard granite steps and down into the cushiony green grass. The blades of grass and soft dirt felt wonderful. A cool breeze brushed against my coat. Ruffling my feathers, I cantered down to where a small pond lay. The reflection that gazed back surprised me. The once vibrant alicorn I had known myself to be had become that of incredible age. My face wore the lines of time, and my once vibrant coat dulled to a light gray. Even my mane had lost much luster. Once long and flowing, bearing sparkles of mysticism, it now hung low and draped around my shoulders. I sighed, half with sorrow, half with relief. All this would be coming to an end soon. I could feel it. Equestria's days were numbered, and I knew it. I had only so much strength left in me. Every day became more and more difficult. The sun seemed to weigh infinite tons, making it nearly impossible to keep at full mast, so to speak. Harder still was the moon. Not even particularly in my domain. The moon took far greater energy to cycle through, as it had been intended to be moved by my younger sister. I had never truly learned Luna's trick for it, and now it was far too late. In the closing days of my life, I gave up on the moon, allowing it to sink forever into the void. Equestria had lasted many a millennia, but now it was time. Each day grew more and more tiring, and for the last day, I put forth a greater effort than I ever had, causing the sunshine more radiantly than ever before. I spent most of the day wandering on weak legs, peering out windows and admiring the beauty that this world had to offer for one final time. Peering up periodically, I kept careful track of time, ensuring to make the most out of the day. Equestria had been a wonderful place, full of grace, beauty, and charm. Fond memories of bustling Canterlot streets filled my mind. Ponies trotted along, telling tales of their days and adventures. The Wonderbolts flew overhead, practicing for a big performance. Quite soiree music floated between the city streets. Foals and mothers window-shopped, husband in tow. It was all so perfect. Bringing myself back from my stupor, I walked slowly to my quarters, small tears forming at the insides of my eyes. Soon, I would rejoin all those that have moved on. Soon, I would see my friends once more. Clambering into my bed for a final slumber, I glanced out the window. A cool breeze rolled in and caressed my face. Clouds floated silently across the evening sky, Orange streaks painted the sky wonderful colors, intermixing with beautiful shades of red and pink. Tiny specks of stars began to shine through the creeping tendrils of light. My eyelids are now heavy, and I'm breathing deeply. I can't help but smile. I've been waiting so long for this, to see them all once again, and to create one final sunset. I sing to myself a tune I remember from the days that I enjoyed the most, just before slipping away into eternal peace. Hush now, quiet now, it's time to lay your sleepy head. Hush now, quiet now, it's time to go to bed. That was beautiful. That was a very interesting take on an alternate My Little Pony universe. I totally can see that happening, where they're all like, everything is perfect, and the moon sunk into the void, and it just floated away, and whoa. And I wonder if Equestria will still be there, or if it will literally disappear. And on that last note, I will see you later, every pony.